These are the vivo X70 and X70 Pro smartphones. They're promising incredible cameras on a smartphone in collaboration with Zeiss. And to further emphasize this point, Vivo have chosen to include the words photography redefined as soon as you unbox them. But is it just words or more than that? I'm Kwan, and I'm aiming to put that to the test in this video, as well as share with you my experiences with the X70 series smartphones here on Kwan Reviews. Now, before we go any further, the vivo X70 series is nothing short than a true flagship. Everything from the design through to the specs are impressive for a smartphone, particularly in this category. So you've got a stunning 6.56-inch AMOLED display, 120Hz refresh rate with support for HDR10+, and you've also got attention to design, with both of these models coming in this stunning fluorite AG satin finish. It makes it look and feel incredibly premium in the hand. Now, the Pro variation has more of a curved front display than its non-Pro variation, but both also support under the display fingerprint sensor. Both have the MediaTek Dimensity 1200 5G chipset with 12GB of RAM and 256GB of storage. Now, that's plenty for most cases in terms of light to medium gaming, multitasking, etc. And both run Android 11 with FunTouch OS 12 with customizations on top. Now, both also support 44-watt fast charging too, although I would have liked to see wireless charging included, and both get okay to reasonable battery life. I was able to get most of the day use, but honestly I would have liked to see more battery capacity, especially on the X70 Pro. Really, the major difference between the X70 and the X70 Pro is down to the weight, curved versus flat display, and the cameras. Now, let's talk about the camera on the X70 series, because I was pleasantly shocked. I think at this price point, particularly on the X70 Pro, this is certainly a contender for one of the better cameras on an Android smartphone. But first, let's talk about the hardware. You get on the X70 Pro a quad camera setup versus the X70 triple camera. The X70 has a 48 megapixel main camera, whereas the X70 Pro features a 50 megapixel main camera with gimbal OIS, and that's paired with 12 megapixel telephoto with 2x zoom, a 12 megapixel ultra wide, and an 8 megapixel telephoto with 5x optical zoom and 60x digital zoom. Now, the hardware on both features the Zeiss lens with T-star coating that essentially helps reduce flare and reflection, and it also improves the color and quality. There's also some Zeiss software effects incorporated, which we'll take a closer look at in a second. But let's first start off by taking a look at samples taken on the X70 Pro, starting with ultra wide. I mean, I was pleasantly surprised with the sharp details, and typically, with ultra wide shots you'll get distortions in the four corners. However, on the X70 Pro, they are not there, and you get good highlights, you get good shadows with reasonable dynamic range. Now, the main 50 megapixel sensor is seriously impressive. I mean, when I first used this for the first time, I noticed that really nice optical background blur, and I've included some images to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. I think for most users, this is going to be a really nice main camera to use, and you're going to get good sharpness, good details, exposure, and also HDR. Now, as far as zoom is concerned, it'll go up all the way up from ultra wide to 1x to 2x to 5x, and that really maintains nice sharpness and details throughout. But as soon as you hit about the 20x mark, in normal lighting, you'll evidently notice more noise, distortions, and with images going up to that maximum 60x, I really don't think that they're very usable. There's a lot of noise and a lot of grain in those pictures. Now, I think Vivo have done well to keep colors quite consistent between the different focal lengths as well. And there's also an automatic macro mode with some nice results. The real standout where the collaboration with Zeiss comes in terms of software is in the 4 Zeiss style portrait lens effects that are included with the X70 series. So one of my favorite is this biotar with this swirly background effect, and I think portrait mode on this does a really good job at separating the subject from the background. Honestly, posting these on social media, you'd assume they were taken with a professional camera. Now, low light or night shots are actually very nice. You've got plenty of detail and good clarity, and again, I think that's down to the Zeiss lens lens. Shots taken with these will satisfy most users. If you stick to 1x or 2x, you'll be fine. But if you go higher or use ultra wide, then you are going to start noticing noise and distortions. Now, video on the X70 series is a bit of a mixed bag. The standard video taken in automatic mode really lacks something for me. There just wasn't as good as the automatic mode for photography. However, strangely enough, video shot in pro mode performed much better. I was able to get what I would consider impressive output, and the added bonus of pro mode is the amount of controls you actually have. Now, the vivo X70 series also has impressive gimbal stabilization in video. Noticeable if you turn it off and then have it on. It makes a real difference, and if you're planning on filming while walking, I'd recommend turning it on.
Okay, so here is a test of video. This is automatic, so not in pro mode, shot in 4K 30 frames per second with the standard stabilization. So this should give you an idea. It's around about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Should give you an idea of how it performs in those sort of normal conditions, and also you'll be able to tell what the microphone or the audio sounds like as well. Let me know what you think of both as I start walking around in the comments down below.
Now, low light video, again in 1x, up to 2x is reasonable. You have to be careful though with sudden movements, otherwise you get these distortions, but generally the noise in videos is reduced with nice details. Now, both of these smartphones have a 32 megapixel selfie shooter. In terms of video, you're able to capture this bokeh kind of effect with the front facing camera. It also takes selfies, but it's a little heavy for my liking with the beauty mode. So that's something that you might need to tune down in the settings. Now, Vivo have also launched the X70 series with the updated TWS2 with active noise cancellation. They're a lightweight and familiar design. They've got nice bass with crisp mids and highs, and you can set noise cancellation in auto transmission. They also have this 3-mic noise cancellation for clearer calls on the other end. And if you're planning on gaming with these, they have low latency of 88 milliseconds and should last a while with around 29 hours of battery life with the charging case. The vivo X70 series is available now in the Middle East, and I'll pop the pricing information in the description below. Whichever device you go with, you'll be pleasantly surprised. I think Vivo are continuing to push the camera tech in their smartphones, and although I feel the videography can be improved further, I think there's little doubt why so many reviewers are talking so highly about the photography results with the X70 series, especially the X70 Pro. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Smash that subscribe button and like button if you'd like to see more, and I'll see you over here in my next video for more. Mquan over and out. Peace and blessings.